From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The All Indiana Podcast Network.
This is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now all the latest news.
Kylie Conway has all the news you need to know.
And more.
Please stand by.
Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Thursday, April 15th. A really cold start with temps in the 30s today. It's going to be kind of cool with some sunshine throughout the day. Winds slightly breezy. We're going to top out in the mid-50s. And there is potential for a huge change to the Supreme Court. So today, a group of Democrats is reportedly planning to introduce legislation to expand the Supreme Court. According to Reuters, the proposal would add 4 more seats, making a total of 13 Supreme Court justices. Right now, the High Court has 9, with a 6-3 conservative majority. You may remember former President Donald Trump appointed 3 of those justices during his 4 years in office. And overnight, Democrat New York Representative Mondaire Jones tweeted, "Our democracy is under assault, and the Supreme Court has dealt the sharpest blows. To restore power to the people, we must expand the court." Jones is one of the lawmakers we expect to hear from today. So just last week, President Biden formed a bipartisan commission to study potential changes like expanding or adding term limits. But at this point, it's not clear where he stands on this proposal. The number of Supreme Court justices has been 9 since 1869. But Congress has the power to change that number and did so in the past. A bill to expand the Supreme Court would likely face an uphill battle since the Senate is evenly divided. The USA Today reports that even last night, the topic came up during a Judiciary Committee hearing and had major pushback from Republicans. Now all eyes are on a news conference that Reuters says is scheduled for today, where both Democrat senators and representatives plan to introduce the legislation. We do have a poll up on our website on wishtv.com asking, would you support adding 4 justices? You can weigh in. It's just an easy yes or no response. A CDC advisory committee says it needs more time before it can make a decision on the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 shot. Committee members say more evidence is needed to determine if there is, in fact, a connection between the vaccine and the 6 cases where there were some rare blood clots that formed in women. They also say it's too soon to tell if the shot poses a risk to any specific group, just because that it was 6 women. Their question is it just women who are developing these things? Is it connected to the shot? A lot of questions to be answered here. The committee plans to meet again sometime in the next 2 weeks. The CDC is reminding you, if you got the 1-dose shot, keep tabs on any symptoms just to be safe, especially if you got the vaccine within the last 3 weeks. If you develop a severe headache, leg swelling, or shortness of breath, you need to call your doctor. The CDC is also urging people scheduled for a J&J shot to reschedule for either the Moderna or Pfizer vaccine. They're really stressing it is still important to be vaccinated, that the Moderna and Pfizer ones are safe. And a study is making the case for keeping the middle seats empty on flights during the pandemic. Researchers from the CDC modeled COVID-19 exposure in a fully packed plane compared to one with no one in the middle seats. The results show an empty middle seat reduced transmission between 23 and 57%, depending on the seating configuration. Most airlines left seats empty early in the pandemic. Delta is the only U.S. airline still keeping its middle seats empty right now, and that policy is set to end May 1st. Protests resumed overnight in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Anger and outrage covered the streets. Police arrested 24 protesters who gathered to demand justice in the killing of Daunte Wright. According to police, most of the people arrested are not from the area. In a news conference overnight, police said protesters threw spray paint, rocks, and other objects. Some video shows items flying through the air, going in the direction of officers that were outside of their station. And today will be the first court appearance for the former Minnesota police officer who yelled taser when shooting and killing Wright. Kim Potter will hear a charge of second-degree manslaughter for the 20-year-old's death. A conviction could mean up to 10 years in prison. Brooklyn Center's former police chief said that Potter mistook her gun for a taser during a traffic stop. In body camera video, she's heard yelling taser several times before pulling the trigger. The Wright family is expected to hold a press conference today. The family's attorney believes more is needed to protect black communities.
And so it boggles the mind why she would pull him over in the first place. Or is it the rules are set aside when you're really being targeted for driving while black?
Online records show Potter is out of jail on bond. Police officers are guarding her home, and there's fencing and barricades that block the house from a public sidewalk. In the Derek Chauvin trial, car exhaust becomes the focus as Chauvin's attorneys introduce a new theory about George Floyd's death.
In the area close to an exhaust, you're going to have a much higher level of carbon monoxide than you would if you're 3-4 feet away.
That testimony is from a former medical examiner in Maryland, arguing that exhaust from the police vehicle near Floyd's face may have played a part in his death. Prosecutors pushed for proof.
You haven't seen any data or test results that showed Mr. Floyd had a single injury from carbon monoxide. Is that true?
That is correct, because it was never sent to the laboratory for that test.
I asked you whether it was true, sir. Yes or no?
It is true.
The witness also testified that drugs in Floyd's system played a role, and that Floyd ultimately died from a sudden heart rhythm problem rather than a lack of oxygen caused by Chauvin's knee on Floyd's neck and back. The president of Afghanistan is addressing the removal of U.S. troops from his country. President Ashraf Ghani tweeted, "The Islamic Republic of Afghanistan respects the U.S. decision, and we will work with our U.S. partners to ensure a smooth transition." He later wrote that Afghanistan's proud security and defense forces are fully capable of defending its people and country.
Cannot continue the cycle of extending or expanding our military presence in Afghanistan, hoping to create ideal conditions for the withdrawal and expecting a different result.
And the president calls the decision to remove U.S. troops a clear one. And breaking news this morning while we were on Daybreak, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken went to Afghanistan, landed there. He's there right now. It was an unannounced visit to sell Biden's decision to pull troops out. Leaders across Washington, D.C. are weighing in on the move. CIA Director William Burns pointed out one concern during a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing before Biden's announcement. He testified that the country's ability to collect information and act on threats in the area will diminish with absence of U.S. troops. Senator Lindsey Graham is asking the president to reconsider.
Don't lock yourself in, because things are going to change quickly in Afghanistan for the worse. Al-Qaeda and ISIS are going to benefit very quickly from this decision.
And before making his way to Afghanistan, Secretary of State Blinken says that the U.S. plans to reorganize its counterterrorism efforts to stay on top of possible terrorist activity.
We'll also remain vigilant against any possibility that the threat of terrorism reemerges in Afghanistan.
And just this morning, Australia announced it is joining the U.S. and NATO in pulling troops from the country by September. And we're working to find out if President Biden's new timeline for pulling troops out will affect Indiana National Guard troops set to arrive there next month. We're also getting perspective on the issue from a mom whose son was killed in the Middle East. Janice Schauecker's son, Richard Blakely, was a staff sergeant who served in Afghanistan and was later killed by a sniper in Iraq.
Very proud. Worried about him all the time, of course. And all he could think of was coming home to his kids, being home.
Schauecker says she's thankful for what the pullout will mean for other families, though she's also concerned that the decision could leave America less safe.
Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
And the Biden administration is preparing new sanctions against Russia over the massive hacking campaign that breached several federal agencies. The hack, known as the SolarWinds breach, hit 9 agencies and about 100 businesses. The White House has been hinting at a response for several weeks. It's widely expected to include the expulsion of some Russian diplomats and specific sanctions against people connected to the hack. A bill on Capitol Hill addressing the rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans is moving forward. It's called the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. The Senate passed it with a 92-6 vote Wednesday. The measure assigns an official in the Justice Department to review and expedite possible cases of pandemic-related hate crimes. The bill would also establish guidance for law enforcement agencies on how to report cases online. Indiana Senators Mike Braun and Todd Young both voted in favor of the bill. Inflation fears are growing as consumer prices are increasing. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says numbers rose faster than expected in March, and it's likely that we'll see inflation increase a little bit as the post-pandemic economy goes into full swing. Consumer prices are up more than 2.5% from a year ago. Local economist Kyle Anderson says historically, prices have risen about 3% per year on average. That's over the last 12 years. Inflation has been below average, around 2% per year. Anderson says high visibility goods will increase now that the economy is changing. That means gas prices will be higher this summer as more people travel. In March alone, gas prices increased more than 9%. Plus, airline tickets, hotels, and food will go up.
A lot of folks have extra income because they haven't spent. And for many households, they haven't lost money during the COVID. They maintained employment and they haven't spent as much. So there is this pent up demand that we're going to see going out. And whether it's, restaurants, whether it's travel, I think is the biggest area. And I think people will plan to do that even as prices go up by a little bit.
Anderson says the Federal Reserve has a mandate to prevent high inflation. It does this by raising interest rates when inflation picks up too much. This tends to slow down the economy and prevent the high inflation. So if inflation starts picking up a lot, the Federal Reserve would take action. But Anderson says that probably won't happen anytime in the next year or so. So going forward over the next few years, economists expect higher inflation than we've seen over the past decade. Shelby County is the latest to install so-called naloxone boxes in public spaces. They're emergency overdose kits available any time of any day to combat the opioid epidemic. Every county in the state is invited to install them. It's thanks to a new state partnership. The two in Shelbyville are at All Souls Church and the nonprofit called Rupert's Kids. It's next to the fire station on Broadway Street. Anyone can come up to it anytime, day or night, with no interaction necessary. They're often on the side of community centers, churches, or food pantries. It's a clear acrylic box with 6 to 8 doses of Narcan or naloxone inside. That's the 1-dose nose spray that reverses an opioid overdose. They also have instructions on how to use it and treatment referral cards. Ryan Key said that there are already 66 counties interested in installing one. He's with Overdose Lifeline. An Overdose Lifeline has enough money for 2 boxes in each county, more if the need shows. The first box was in Marion County at the Interfaith Center, and Key says 6 doses have already been pulled out of it this week alone. He says he hopes the people pulling doses aren't just those addicted to drugs or those with addicted friends, but people who work in gas stations, restaurants, anywhere where you deal with the public.
I talked to my brother-in-law. He works in the restaurants, and, one of the restaurant owners said he found somebody in the restroom that had used, and he thought he was dead, and the paramedics got there, and they did naloxone, and he walked out. It was just amazing. So you don't know when and where, but it's out there.
As far as where these boxes go, Key says they use heat maps to track where EMS overdose calls are, and then they put a box in those areas. Overdose Lifeline is also footing the bill if you'd like your own supply of naloxone. You just have to fill out a request form on their website. That's also where you can find a map of all the boxes installed in the state so far. 2 business headlines now. Researchers from frontierbundles.com set out to find the most popular Etsy shop based in each state. It says in Indiana, that is MRC Wood Products. It's in Brownsburg, and it is the top seller here in Indiana. They make personalized farmhouse-style signs. I took a look this morning at their shop, and there are some really cool designs that can be personalized, like I mentioned, and tailored to your liking. Walmart is moving more of its workers full-time with the goal of having 2/3 of its U.S. store hourly jobs be full-time with more consistent work schedules by early next year. The retailer said it'll have 740,000 of its 1.2 million U.S. Walmart hourly store workers work full-time by January 31st. Walmart wants to retain employees. Kroger is putting together an army of robots to take on Walmart and Amazon. It's betting on automated warehouses to catch up on the online grocery. The fulfillment facility can pick a 50-item order in less than 5 minutes, much faster than a human worker grabbing goods from a store. And opening this spring, it'll serve a region stretching from Louisville to Indianapolis and Columbus, Ohio, with a mix of same-day and next-day service. Likes on Facebook and Instagram could be a source of stress for some people. They see them as approval or a measure of popularity sometimes. So Facebook and its Instagram will test letting users hide those likes. Used car retailer CarMax is offering a $10 Dunkin' gift card to anyone who takes home a car for the night to decide if they'd like to buy it. Just a 24-hour test drive, and you get $10 to spend at Dunkin'. And encouraging them to hit the drive-thru. You know, they take it, get the car, get the gift card, and then hit the drive-thru at Dunkin' while you're at it for a treat. And making the rounds, deciding if you'd like it, but I can't imagine that they'd want you to spill anything. So I guess just be careful. I want to know what the limit is. You know, can you go in and say, no, this one wasn't great. Can I try another one? No, this one wasn't great. You know, just keep that up for your daily donut and coffee here and you know, get a glimpse of what cars are out there. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. All right, to the Pacers. Karis LeVert has been named a global ambassador for the American Cancer Society. LeVert is a cancer survivor himself. The doctors discovered a small mass on his left kidney after he was traded to the Pacers. And under this role, LeVert will help the group's health equity mission. According to the American Cancer Society, Black people have the highest death rate and shortest survival of any racial and ethnic group. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
Check out more podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
allindianapodcastnetwork.com.